Well, happy Friday, everybody. I'm Nick Slavik. I'm the proprietor of the Nick Slavik Painting and Restoration Company. I'm also the host of this show, Ask a Painter Live. It's a weekly live show where I use my 2 decades of experience as an entrepreneur and a craftsman to answer any of your questions. Now, if you're a homeowner, you can ask any paint question you've ever wanted to ask pros, and we're all here to answer it as a forum. For professionals, we can talk business, entrepreneurship, apprenticeship, marketing, accounting, production, all that good stuff, coding science as well. And today, I'm here with the Jason Paris, the Elon Musk of the painting industry. Today has been a little bit of an odd day in Minnesota. Evidently, we're in tsunami season.
Yeah.
A day and a half a week, all summer, we are getting rained out. And it's hovering around the low 70s right now. It's raining. And we had some job scheduling issues today. And I found myself at Paris Painting today. So Jason and I were just sort of going over a bunch of things like we usually do, large-scale perspective talks. Why are we here? What are we doing? Should we be doing something else? And yeah, we just thought, we talked long enough that it was Ask a Painter time. So I thought, I've been collecting questions this week from you guys about this. And I thought we would go through a few of them. We got some really good questions. Thanks for everybody for submitting those. And then we're going to pick Jason's mind, whatever he wants to talk about. And we'll get his perspective on, all these questions. So we have a big painters event coming up next week.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here. Minneapolis.
Right here.
Yeah. So it's the Pdca residential forum. So this is a forum specifically designed for residential repaint contractors. So the Pdca, it's kind of the gathering of some of the greatest minds and businesses and painting internationally. And they have kind of 3 separate forums they do. One is craftsmen, kind of for the Nick Slaviks of the world, and the crafty people.
The guys who still like paint.
Yep, we're really into the technical science of it. And then commercial, speaks for itself, commercial leaning contractors. Residential repaint is what's happening starts Thursday night. The social. So it's in Minneapolis, and super excited for it.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because it just happens to be in our backyard. I mean, it's right there.
Last year was last year? Chicago?
Cleveland. So still relatively close, but these things don't, they cycle around every year. So with all those events and including the big national one, the national one's in Georgia coming up this next winter, but they cycle around, and because it's in the backyard, I decided to take my entire leadership team to that so I can expose them to what I've been exposed to over the years and give them a lot of perspective, because I go to these events, I suck up the perspective, I take it back, and I try to take the feeling and the content and pass it on to everybody else. I probably do an okay job.
It's hard.
But for them to actually talk to other paint business owners and entrepreneurs, it's going to be a great thing. And you're presenting a topic.
I am.
And I'm presenting a topic at this forum. What is your topic on?
We are back to back. So Saturday will be a big day at the AST. Mine is kind of broadly speaking on failing forward. Probably that's kind of a common phrase, but failing forward when it comes to entrepreneurship and specifically in the painting industry, and how you get better, how you kind of have revolutions of feedback and trial, and how through revolutions you can create evolution in your company. Yeah,
that's we discussed them briefly this morning. We were trying to make sure we didn't present the same thing.
That's right.
But mine will be on apprenticeship then. So basically, it's a case study of what I've done over the last 20 months in my business, going from 0 people to 22, how we've won 5 national awards while doing it, and maintaining that. So big issues that we're actually going through right now. There's a lot of theory in this. There's a lot of high-level thinking, but there's a lot of, we have proof. And we have data for you too, so it's going to be a good mix of that sort of thing. So, all right, well, we will get to some questions here. Thank you everybody for watching. I saw some familiar names on here. Let's go through here. Russ Perry, thanks for watching again. Chris Shank, the Chris Shank. Michael Van Morik from Denmark. Mike Wojan, which he was at the Gathering of Minnesota Painters, Cannon Falls painter. Mark Johnson, my historic restorationist friend. Christian Militello, we actually have the question that you submitted about how to set your paint company up for when you go on vacation. We'll get to that in just a little bit here. We have some thoughts for you. There we go. It's Mike Katunas. Mike's actually coming here
Yeah, so
next week.
because it's in Minneapolis this year, pretty much open invite to anyone that is flying in, but I know Mike and I think Annie and then you and Nick invited to come to the office here, shoot the breeze for a little bit. I can show you kind of how we schedule things and do logistics, but yeah, Mike's a really cool guy, both as a business guy and then a little bit I know of him personally. Excited to know about that more, but yeah, Mike's coming to Minneapolis and he'll be coming to the shop here.
I got my first face-to-face with Mike at the last national forum, and our stories mimic each other. So, and we were just like, you too, and it's like our parents, our journey in business. So yeah, Mike,
kindred spirits.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's so awesome that he's going to be here and experience sort of what I experience when I come here. So yeah, that's and then Nick LaGrasso's coming in a day early for the forum, and we're actually going to an 87-year-old woman's farmhouse. Buddy estimate time in the rural hinterlands of Minnesota, the place near and dear to my heart, and he's going to experience what I get to experience every day. And he might be thrown up into a trash can, or he might be delighted by, oh, it's so beautiful out here, and we get to speak to Mrs. Ruby about her farmhouse. So either way, it's going to be fun. So but Mike will be here. Dustin, our good friend, sadly he won't be at the residential forum, but that's too bad. You're missing a good time, Dustin. We hope you our goal is to make you feel horrible with all our pictures and videos this next week. So yeah, let's get into some questions. Also, the PDCA. Thank you to the PDCA. 2 or 3 years ago, when I first had contact with the PDCA, my entire world opened up, and everything that's happened in the last 2 to 3 years in my business has been from perspective from meeting other people like this. 3 years ago, I never would have spoke to another painter, and if I've been doing this for 25 years, for 22 of those years, I never spoke to another painter ever, and especially one in my backyard.
Right.
And turns out, when you speak to other painters, you meet other people who are doing exactly what you're doing. And one of my greatest allies now, one of the person I look forward to seeing the most is now Jason. And technically, we are competition.
Yeah.
And in reality, cooperation, exactly. And if you were at the Gathering of Minnesota Painters or saw the Ask a Painter live after that, by the data, by the numbers, we basically proved that there's really not competition in our field.
Your competition is how well do you execute your business model, not necessarily the guy down the street.
You're not. Probably we have never even bid on a job against each other, most likely.
And if we do, that's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so much work out there that you'd be foolish to take that to heart and do that. So all right, let's see what else we got here. Aaron Michael Steininger, another painting contractor. How to handle scheduling when you're slammed, buried, and in the weeds, but you get a lead you can't just turn down.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Everybody.
The past 5 years have been a crazy stretch for the trades economically, both in a demand side and in the supply side. Mm-hmm. Probably unique shifts on both ends of those pieces in the past 5 years. For me, I'd say, there's probably two fundamentals. One is to be open and honest. And, even in the midst of chaos, business can be, not somewhat calming if you're honest with people. Mm-hmm. And where it gets really stressful is if you're trying to pull a fast one or be dishonest. That's extremely stressful because not many people are smart enough to remember all of their dishonesties and how to tie those together. So I would say be very transparent and honest with somebody, but then also, tell them how this could be a win. So internally, you may feel really bad and say, if I tell them that I'm booked out till next spring, they're going to be mad at me. We had a big kind of philosophy talk about sales, and kind of my perspective on sales is I'm not out there to be your friend. I am out there to make you happy. And if you want to make a friend by telling someone what they want to hear, that's not going to put you in a good position. But if you tell them, here are the rules we're going to play by, here's how your product's going to be done successfully, and if we do that, you're going to be happy. I think that's how you win in this scenario, which is a common one. I think there aren't many painting contractors that aren't in this issue.
Yeah. So, and the bit of touchy-feely perspective that I have on this is that very thing that Aaron mentioned. I lived for 7 years the first 7 years of my business. And I told everybody exactly what they wanted to hear. And I lived it. I saw my schedule. I saw the weather stopping me. I saw not enough people to help me stopping me. I saw my quality standards high that I wouldn't let down to get to other people. I forgot to basically tell every one of my clients that my perspective on it too.
Yeah.
I just said yes. And all they heard was a yes. So when I told them I could be there in 2 weeks in the middle of June, they were like, oh, he must have no work after 2 weeks, so he's going to be here. But really, I had a year and a half of work already booked.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this earlier, but verbalizing feelings is a very important thing that we do, the two of us, with each other. But maybe it is just with Aaron, verbalizing. It is tough to tell someone. It's tough to disappoint someone and tell them you can't do what they want.
Exactly.
What you want is not possible.
And especially when it's your business that feeds your children, pays your mortgage. It is so counterintuitive to tell somebody no.
Yeah.
When it's your business.
And just verbalize that I'm gonna feel a certain way when I tell someone that. Right.
Yeah.
When someone says, "Hey, can you be here next week?" and you say, "I can't do that," and then they look at you and they're kind of like, that makes me feel sad. That will probably not make you feel too good.
No.
And it's fine to verbalize and say that is a real emotion, but I know I'm going to feel much better when I can eventually do their project, or I know I'll feel better next week when I don't have to call them and say, I know I overpromised. I said I could be out here next week. I can't now. And now you're that stereotypical contractor who's flaky and is always kind of trying to catch your own tail. So.
Yep. And in breaking myself for 7 years in order to do that, in hindsight, I thought all my clients felt that, and I thought I indicated that to them. In hindsight, they had no idea how I put off my family. I put off progression of my business because it's like, listen, I would really like to grow this business. I want to create jobs, but I just need to get this done. And in hindsight, that was very foolish. So in a perfect world, we would always tell them what they want to hear and give them exactly what they want on their terms. But seeing that that's not a possibility, what's the next best alternative? The next best alternative is honesty, like you said.
Be open and honest.
Yep.
Here's how I can help. Here's how we can win together.
Yep.
It's nice to not tell people no, right? It's nice to not say no. So you do say, not this way, but yes this way.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe that's how you would kind of tie this together and close this loop, but say, how do you handle it? You say, not this way, yes this way.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying no.
And when you test this out, if you make a point, Aaron, to basically say, okay, for the next month, everybody who calls me, I'm going to be so upfront and so honest with my schedule. I am scheduling into November. The soonest I could realistically give you is November. You'd be surprised how many people that doesn't bother them.
Right. Yeah. Especially when we get towards the end of the year. This is something I tell people all the time.
Yeah.
Is I would love to do your project in November.
Yep.
Right? I can do more jobs, buy my kids a nice birthday, the line I always use is, I want to buy nice Christmas presents for my kids. Would love to get your job in. If the overnight low dips below 35 degrees, we're not going to do it.
Yep.
It's not going to warranty. It's not going to hold up. But if the overnight low is above 35, we'll do it. I mean, we're both I'm in the same incentive as
we want the same thing. Yeah.
We both want it. So you're just honest with them, and it's in contracting. I feel like that's probably one of the biggest like items is people just want someone who's transparent and honest, because the stereotypical painting contractor. We talked about this a lot in the Minnesota painter groups of how do you change that stereotype of painting contractors in Minnesota, but it's just the continual chasing of your own tail. And it's probably because in Minnesota, it's probably because we don't like to have conflict.
Nope.
We don't like to have confrontation, but having it on the front end, being very clear, even in a chaotic business, it can be a great business to run if you're honest with people. It would absolutely be atrocious trying to cover all your tracks if you're pulling fast ones on people.
Exactly. And in this market, more than any, this is something we have to get a hold of, because if this was between 2007 and 2009, you probably have openings in your schedule. With a market like this, I have these conversations probably 4 to 5 times a day, and even with my clients who are currently waiting on the list too. It's we're staring down the barrel of losing a day and a half of production a week here in Minnesota, and that's just
with rain.
Yeah. And that's just with standard houses.
That doesn't take into account vehicle challenges, people getting sick.
There's the sick days, the flat tires, the vacations, and
sure,
then
right out of stock.
you take into account like decks. Well, every time it sprinkles or there's a heavy dew, it resets a 2-day clock on mine. So all of a sudden, you can wash a deck on a Monday, and because of the every 2-day rain, it can be 2 weeks later before I could even consider getting to it. So all of a sudden, you run into these, like, you try to be honest with the people, but it's still not. Honesty is what they want. Honesty is what they want. So, Aaron, I hope that helps. We'll go through a couple questions on here too. I think maybe we'll do one more from here. Let's see. We're going to do a coding question. Maybe we'll do Christian's question, because I think we can both contribute pretty highly to that there. So there's Christian. Christian, he gave this awesome question this week here. Phones, emails, scheduling, what your voicemail says, automation, when you're away on vacation, trade shows, etc. What do you do for your company? How do you build it to that point? How do you prepare prospective clients? What happens if an issue arises when you're away? So basically, if you're the owner and you still have a very large hand in the day-to-day operations of your business, if you want to check out for a week or two, what do you do?
So that's a good question. So kind of step back, large scale. If you are the problem solver and problems arise, let's just talk through very basically what happens. Either the problem doesn't get solved, somebody else solves it, or you solve it. So those are kind of your three options. So, are there problems that you have set the company up at this point and in this stage where only you can solve them, and if they come up, can those wait a week while you're gone? That's kind of the first kind of thought. The second is, are you able to equip others to solve those problems that typically only you would solve? They'll be stretched for a week, but it's, hey, the boss is doing this, here's a carrot for that. You're going to be stretched and solve this, even though you typically wouldn't take that responsibility on. The third one is, at what level are you able to pepper in and solve problems through what levels of input? That'd be kind of, if you step back and think big buckets, how do you talk about that problem? That's probably how I would talk about it. And then the nuances would be in, is Christian coming next week? Christian, are you coming next week?
Yeah, that's interesting. We would love to talk in person. Yeah.
There's a lot of nuances in any business, in any company, in any organization of what does that look like granularly. But I think that's how you start talking about it from a large scale, in those kind of three paradigms.
And I just did this a couple weeks ago. I took more than a week off, and I think a lot of times, you and I talk a lot about first principle reasoning, where people seem, especially in our industry, a problem comes up and you basically just default to what everybody else has done or tried before, and you try that and you get good results, but it might be better. First principle reasoning is where you actually say, well, what is the problem? What are my assumptions about the problem? And let's break it down to its finest elements, because they may be solvable. When you group a problem together, you may just say, well, this is what's been done before, let's do that. When you break it out, it actually might be a couple very small, simple problems to solve.
What are the actual fundamentals that are true about this problem? Break it all the way down to what you know is true, and then build back up from there.
So when people, there's a lot of tropes in business, and one of them is, oh man, as a business owner, you need to disconnect completely. Throw your phone in a lake, break your laptop over your knee, disconnect your phone, stop your mail. I don't know. I like my business. And even when I was in Utah with my family, I'm an early guy, so I get up early before my family's awake. I sit out on this porch overlooking a mountain stream, and for 41 minutes, I just connect with my business real quick. There's a couple questions that rose up about something. There's a scheduling thing. Weather popped up. They just want my input on it. For 41 minutes a day, I would just type out a few emails. It didn't involve physical exertion. Okay. It didn't involve money. It just took a couple minutes. I don't mind that. That may be sort of he's on vacation, he's doing this. Honestly, I really like my business, and I don't mind typing out a few emails or texts. So in that case, I was the one to basically say, I have a visual inside my war room for my company where we have the decision-making chain of command, where it starts with the youngest apprentice who doesn't know anything, try to fix it. And then it goes up to the next one, try to fix it. And then there's the image of the brick wall that stands with my entire company and me.
I've seen it, yeah.
And they basically, nothing gets past there. If something gets past there, it better be important. And basically, I gave my people the command, just deal with it. Nothing will ever come up that is going to ruin our reputation, our business, anything else in 1 week that I can't handle. So even if the worst thing comes up, if half my company wants to quit in that 1 week, when I get back, we can deal with that.
Yeah. So you're talking about creatively spreading across those 3 buckets.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of laid out.
Yep. And basically, if this was 6 months, you would address this differently.
Yep.
But if it's 1 week, I go into it knowing I can solve a lot of stuff, and my people really enjoy my input. I have a lot of information to give people, and it's almost foolish not to at some point. At some point, how much are you getting from this exercise of not talking to your company?
Right.
What are you going to learn from it? What are you going to benefit? Or you could just...
Yeah, what's the cost of that hard cutoff versus
exactly.
what's the cost of the cost and the gain of little peppered inputs?
Yeah. And obviously there's the basic, you set up the out-of-town email, you set up the out-of-phone or out-of-town responses and all that stuff, just so your clients, during that week, I interacted with my company, but any new stuff that came to me, that things I didn't have to deal with or we were producing then, I put it off a week. So when people got the email or the call or they texted me and they got the ping back saying it's out of town, good, I just bought myself a week.
Yeah.
Open and honest. So, yeah, and clients, I'm really not in the field much anymore anyway, so I really don't have to brace my clients for anything. It's not like, well, Nick's not going to be here, so
right.
Who is doing this,
Nick?
So yeah, exactly. So you got any more thoughts on the vacation issue? Otherwise, we'll scroll through up here.
Good.
Awesome. Yeah, and my one intentional thing I did when I was gone on my vacation, I took one person and I basically just said, I want you to pull out of your normal 8 hour a day role, and it's okay if you don't work, as long as you're solving problems. Like you can take away some of your, what I consider work, the actual physical painting, and if you end up spending 6 of your 8 hour days just answering simple questions, we don't have enough brushes, should we use this primer? Good. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So all right, let's see. Oh, Colby's watching too. Let's go back a little bit here and Dustin, really hard in new construction to tell a builder you're booked out and can't take on their work. I totally agree with you. Put yourself in a terrible position when you overpromise, especially with builders. Builders, you can get into...
Yeah, they have a lot riding on your schedule, on you. Yeah.
And the amount of people too. It's not like, well, as long as you started and you're there, you've technically checked the box of being there. Builders are like, oh no, if I don't see 12 people on this job site, this is a problem.
Take care of your builders.
Yeah, exactly. Take care of your builders. And it's tough, but it's one of those lesser of two evils. Come on now. Amen. Open and honest from Virginia Youngblood. Gerardo, just what I did last night. They're willing to wait. Absolutely. Mike Danahy, thanks for watching. Scotty Yeager, a builder that I work for and a past client. Mike Danahy, thanks for... stop. Chad Merriam, another local painter.
Yeah.
Love that guy. Russ Perry, I've just been to an estimate. You'd love, Nick. 8 preformed factory coated steel closet doors from 1960 to repaint. Oh, super retro kind of stuff. That's awesome.
Nice.
Oh, God. I keep putting sad faces on people's stuff. I'm sorry. It's my big fingers. So Andy Chadwick, thanks for watching. How is the acceptance of airless machine usage in your jobs? Rodrigo. All right. So, yeah. So... I use them more and more. I see them as a tool. I was not opposed to them. The painting company that I grew up in didn't own a sprayer. And, people started asking me 10 years ago, when the advent of the interior fine finishing, spray my cabinet, spray my oak, people kept saying, I hand finished all that stuff for years. And they were saying, I really want that. Apparently you need a sprayer to get a sprayed finish, so I just got a sprayer and started. Yep, wow. Exactly. So, yeah, I didn't have any experience in spraying, and as a matter of fact, probably 7 or 8 years ago, I had really never used a sprayer before.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That surprises you?
I just didn't know.
So yeah, it's interesting. I use them more and more. Interior, all my interior fine finishing now, varnishes, enamels, everything is always sprayed. I spray drywall primers, I spray ceiling finishes. Exteriors, I'm doing a little bit more. My only concern with exterior stuff is the filling of the pores. So what we've been experimenting with over the years is hand priming, working primer into the pores of wood, and then coming back and spraying. And honestly, in the houses that even in old houses and stuff I've done, I've not seen a drop off in quality between a 3-coat hand finished house or a 1-coat hand primer and 2 top coats sprayed. And we've been experimenting with it, and it's sort of new to our company, so we're getting our processes down with that. But
Nice.
I know you guys probably heavily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started the company technically in 2012,
Mhm.
but kind of got more in 13, and that was my first year using a sprayer.
Yep.
And I went online, and our good friend Chris Berry on
Yep,
his YouTube
yep,
channel and
yep.
said,
The
"How
idol
do I
painter.
clean this thing out? How do I work it?" And I remember the first house I did, I didn't like flush out the water. And I was like, "This doesn't look right."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh." But yeah, sprayers are important. So I don't know if there's like a different thing in Brazil. But kind of like Nick said, anywhere where there's a porous surface, you always want to work it into the grains of the wood. And we do have a lot of cedar here in Minnesota.
Tons.
If you're doing something like a pre-finished steel or obviously enamel woodwork, then
Yep.
just lay it on. You get that smooth finish without any brush strokes. But yeah, it's kind of how you lay it out.
I know we have a lot of cedar and wood houses here. I didn't know how much. Like when I talk to other painters around the country,
Yeah,
it's like they don't use brushes at all.
it's a big variable here.
All it is brand new hardy.
Yeah.
We got stucco that's not porous. It's just smooth trout, and it's like, how are you guys not back brushing, back rolling something? It's like all your stuff is non-porous.
Yeah, I was surprised. I think, even just watching the Idaho guy,
Yeah.
it's all hardy.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Like, yeah, how do you not have a challenge there?
Yeah,
Or how do you-
exactly.
How do you not have it easy? It's just hardy. It's very straightforward.
I actually when I was in Utah, I had an invitation from another painter. I went down there and visited, and yeah, same thing. You're looking around. There's not a house that isn't stucco or hardy down there.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, of course then. I would be only spraying, of
Yeah.
course. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. So, and in Brazil, I actually just talked to, in my Graco factory thing, we talked about Brazil heavily because I told them, like, listen, these people want some of this stuff, and
Yeah.
because of taxes and tariffs, their machines are very, very expensive. Somebody was telling me it could be, for a basic 390, 395, 440, I mean, they could be in the high 2000s
Wow.
for one of those
Foreign
things.
currency.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So definitely, and they have houses way more like Utah and Arizona, where it's a lot of stucco, it's a lot of non-porous surfaces. There's not a lot of cedar houses,
Yeah.
so they would be way more apt to spray than even in Minnesota. But I always lose sight of how much cedar and redwood and just wood-sided houses we have here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I take it for granted. So let's see what we got here. Mike Danahy, stupid question. Can a deck be washed in the rain, like if your gas power washer was covered? Absolutely. I actually seek out rain days. Today is a perfect wash day, where it's got that intermittent, weird sort of rain, and it's a way to squeeze efficiency out of every last day.
Yeah, we've got 2 pressure washing vehicles going today.
And especially when you think of this is like perfect pressure washing day because it's relatively cool, it's overcast, it's just lightly raining. It's not one of those wash the dirt off your lawn sort of things, and it's a Friday, and it'll dry all weekend. And technically, if the weather cooperates, you could be back Monday doing all this stuff. So, no, not at all. And all the pressure washers. We actually carry around some covers and stuff on the days that it is rain to keep the rain and then the pressure washing stuff off of them so they don't automatically shut down. All right, Rodrigo, could you estimate the percentage that a contractor may be able to use sprayer versus what they actually use, and what is the main reason for not using? Oh, I think we
Substrate.
Exactly. It's for us it's mainly substrate, and I've actually had, it's certainly not training. I was just on a job site where I was doing some advanced spray training with one of my crew leaders but also I was doing beginner spray training with some of the younger apprentices, and I took a very young 15-year-old person, their first job. They've definitely not been a painter before, and they were spraying siding. After about 40 minutes of my like, okay, this is what you want to look for, they were going very close to what I do.
Wow.
So if you sit there for 40 minutes and correct every hand function, every movement, their feet, where they're placed, how they process siding, it's not hard. It is a video game.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, people are capable. It's, they need training and direction, though.
They're way more capable than we give them direction. And it's like the basic training mentality where you could let them experiment on the whole house and they'll learn a little. But if you stand there and every single time they even hold their hand incorrectly, stop.
Yeah.
They're amazing, and they get right through it, and then it's fun for them. So, yeah, it's certainly not any more difficult. I would almost say that if I had to choose, if you had to turn out a better sprayer or a brush painter for exterior work with the shortest amount of time, the quickest to be viable, I would almost give. If I had 40 minutes, I might.
You got 40 minutes.
I might say, I bet you I could produce a better sprayer than I could a brusher in 40 minutes.
I'm looking forward to the apprenticeship speech.
Yeah.
He's a world-class trainer, so
It'll
not
be
everyone
interesting.
can do that. Nick's a very good trainer.
It'll be interesting, especially for me to see how that stuff goes. So, let's see what else we got. Chris Shucks on a bid. Let us know how the bid goes. Let us know if you ask for the sale. Something we talk about often. Tom Shepard, Colby, what's up? Hey Colby, let's hear from you, man. What do you want to talk about? Because Colby's got a business that is probably bigger than mine, but mimics mine very closely. I think we're going through a lot of the stages of business. Like, we've been chatting a couple months ago, and it sounds like we're basically going through the same thing together. So.
Nice.
Colby, if you got something you want to talk about, a topic or something, you got the Jason Paris here. So, Sean Davis, thank you for watching. Gerardo, we use airless for pretty much everything. After I was instructed on spraying, I found myself trying to learn everything I can about spraying, still learning, adapting. I think old timers don't give the importance they deserve. Yeah, and I think about spraying differently than I used to. If you think about spraying as a way to just cut labor costs, or to just so you don't have to do as much as you used to, yes, there is truth to that. But if that's the only way you use it as a tool, you're missing out on a lot. You can actually produce better finishes in a lot of cases with that, and you can also have the collateral damage of it going quicker. But a lot of times when guys fall along the line of, I'm going to get this sprayer so I never have to brush again, you'll probably mess some houses up, and you won't produce as good as you did with a brush.
Yeah, there are fundamentals you want to follow, regardless of the tool that you're using. Is probably one way to emphasize it. What's your objective with whatever tool you're doing, and can you follow that objective?
Tyler, thank you for watching. Chris Patterson, a paint rep of mine from up here. Ursula, thank you for watching. Jason and Nick, the bearded painter, thank you so much. Rodrigo, the dynamics here are quite different. All brick and mortar, level 5 interior, slowly adapting to mechanization. And that's from what I get from social media with the Brazilian painters. It's that. There's tools being introduced, everybody's interested, and hopefully in a bunch of years there could be more access to it, because the Brazilian painters are doing amazing things with really subpar tools. I mean, they're using roller covers that you can see the light through. They're so thin and sort of, shedding and that sort of thing. So. Jeff Davis, thanks for watching. Tristan, Rick Skluzacek, Rodrigo, that's where we go. That's what we're going for here. Yep, absolutely. Andrew Richardson, how do you feel about leaving equipment up overnight? Ladders, walkboards? Absolutely not. No.
Clean it up. Well,
not a chance.
We're in residential, so it's a service. Maybe it's different in commercial or industrial, but residential, you're half product, half service. And if you don't realize that, you don't have to worry about either part of it.
Exactly.
You won't have a business. So.
That's exactly it. No, definitely. And in commercial stuff, once in a while, you can leave out some prep work. You might be able, but you got to come down off the lift. It's not like you can leave lifts in place. So, yeah, even that. Yeah, it's
good question though.
But even in our new construction, when technically there's no client and no builder there, and we have the house for 3 weeks, I'll still tell my guys, we have a toted system of tools, and every day it's just a good practice to grab your tools, put them in the, line the totes up, throw drop cloth over them, and everybody loves that. They love seeing that, because contractors don't do that. Tristan, hello to you. Mike Katunis. Ooh, what are you doing to create great company culture? I am living this right now. I've completely retooled and rethought my position in the company. I did a grand experiment in June where we tried out a whole bunch of different things in my company, and I did it to test out what my actual contribution was and what is that contribution worth, and what are my people's contribution, and in what way do we need to form this company with leaders, crew leaders, production people and stuff. And I walked away with the realization that right now with my business model, I need to spend half to 2/3 of my day talking with people, in-depth human interactions, culture building, reviewing, feedback, teaching, instructing. And that might be because that's sort of what I'm good at. It doesn't come natural to me. We've talked about this before. If I had a choice between that and something else, I might choose something else instead of it. But because I'm effective at it, and because this is what all of my apprentices signed up for, they want to be part of something. And it may not even be me. I presented an exciting opportunity, and they want to be part of this. And when I remove myself from that, I'm sort of almost the gasoline for that opportunity. So I've been spending, in July now, I retooled my purpose in the company. It's the thing that contractors don't want to do. You got to get out there. You got to make personal connections with your people. You got to set goals for them. You got to follow up on the goals. You got to give them constant feedback, and you have to train heavy. The good thing is I enjoy painting a lot, and I know a lot about it. I have a lot to tell these people. Probably too much.
You're very good at it.
Probably too much. But I've now realized, like, if I had the choice of finding new opportunities for my business, growing it, experimenting with new coatings by myself, I would probably do that over the interactions. But the interactions are so rewarding, and it's the only way my business model works. I need to keep these people. So,
low input, high output.
Yes.
Or even medium input, extraordinary output for your time there.
I would agree. So, yeah, what do you culture?
For me, I'd say I joke around like we're almost close to a cult, because so we have our core values, and we just hammer those in, and just really make sure that everybody verbalizes it, understands it, and just kind of repetition. So you can create values, you can create a culture once, and I would say to create a great company culture requires a lot of repetition, and that's what we focus on.
It's amazing you say repetition, because even the way we structure our meetings, we have a weekly meeting, the same time, same place. First thing we do in these meetings is not, hey, let's jump into numbers, let's jump into production. The first thing we do is everybody around the room shares a personal win and a professional win from the last week.
We do the same, because we're the traction model.
Because we've adhered to, as much as I hate greasy business books, I have adopted some traction stuff. So we do that, and then we talk about core value shout-outs. We have my 5 core values in the companies, and anybody who does anything above and beyond what they're expected to, they get recognized as a company. And so it's a great thing, especially these lazy millennials, which our two companies are complete.
Don't hire millennials.
I'm surprised we could even get anybody here, that there's people in the office on a Friday.
I mean, it's already, what time is it even? It's almost noon. That should be.
I know, right? Yeah. So I think I smell avocado toast in the background too. So no, but our two companies are basically made up of piles of millennials. And they need interaction. The days of hiring a painter that's had 10 years of experience, and you don't really even have to like know his wife's name. He just shows up every day. He always does what he's supposed to, and you'll keep him for 40 years. I mean, that's funny now.
It's not gone. It's going away.
Yes.
It's very rare at the very least.
It's very rare. And I think 10 years ago when I started my company, that was still a viable option.
I've got about 5 minutes.
Okay, no problem. So now at least in my circumstance, that's not a viable option for me. So that's why I hired a whole bunch of these millennials. that comes with some other things. They want to be a part of something. They have an eye on doing something exciting during the day, which you have to facilitate, and you have to constantly keep your hand on the throttle of excitement to make sure they understand it. You have to give them upward mobility. You have to share your vision for the future. And they want to be a part of something, but they also want to safeguard their time that's not doing the fun thing.
I'd say they can also be extremely high performers.
Oh,
Right.
we wouldn't do this if there wasn't a reward. You know,
Right.
if you had to spend all your time just making friends with these people and they performed less, we wouldn't do it. There is the chance that, like, you have insane high performers in your company. We're finding the high performers in my company right now because we're all doing this together.
Yeah.
And there is a huge benefit to this if you are willing to put forth the units of energy into it and see these people through.
Yeah.
So okay, we'll just see what everybody's got. We got to get going here. So back to work. Gerardo, same here. Jade, a friend of ours here.
Thanks, Jade.
Sam Reuter, another painting contractor. Danny Airy, another painter. Anything in life you do more than once is an opportunity for a system.
It's good.
But
Repetition's important, right? It's like you don't just shower once. You should shower once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe every day.
Well, depends. We don't work anymore, so
That's true.
we don't have to do the daily.
We don't work.
No, that's awesome. So anyway, look forward to, I will be doing a live Ask a Painter from the Pdca Residential Forum. I'll actually have one of the big shots from Sherwin-Williams, Archie Bartell. Anybody who's ever been around an industry event, everybody loves Archie.
Yeah.
He knows his coatings, which I'm a big fan of. We go deep into floor epoxy and molecular structure and things like that, but Archie is a good guy. He's got his finger on the pulse of marketing for Sherwin, and we have great perspective talks. We'll be doing a live Ask a Painter with him. I'm going to be grabbing people all week, painting contractors that are around. We're going to be in this shop again next Thursday, so there'll probably be some stuff going on then. And thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for the PDCA for facilitating this. And the reason I'm interacting with other painters like Jason, and the reason that all these changes have taken place, is the PDCA introduced me to cooperation. We cooperate, but we're competition, but not really.
Rise the level of the industry together.
Bring it all up.
We
And
all win in that scenario.
there's a big change in our industry that we are probably in now, and that we will probably realize in the next couple of years. And a lot of us are starting to realize that things are changing, and we kind of want to be at the forefront of that and guide that change to make sure it's a clean change and not a messy, disruptive change. It's exciting. That's the baseline. And thank you to everybody. Thank you to the PDCA. Thanks for Jason for letting me hang out and doing this.
Anytime.
Everybody loves Jason Paris, the Elon Musk of the painting industry. I keep getting requests all the time. When are you gonna have Jason back on? So in a year or two, I will probably end up turning the show over to Jason because he will become way more popular than me.
My ego right now is just
And it should be.
not good.
I mean, have you seen this wall behind us here? Like,
good.
this is pretty cool. So, all right, everybody, thanks again. Appreciate you watching. Share it if you like it. Find other paint contractors, and we'll talk to you next week.